Trade negotiations. Trade negotiations are not simple. There are essentially two different stories. One that you see on TV, handshakes, flags, leaders making big promises. And the one you don't, the long, complicated but silent battle fought in conference rooms by negotiators, clause by clause, taking note of every word. The story of India US trade under American President Donald Trump's second term captures this contrast perfectly. It began with Mission 500. In a glittering February summit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Trump promised to double bilateral trade to $500 billion by 2030. Cameras flashed, markets cheered, and the idea of a historic trade deal seemed almost a done deal. But optimism soon faded, colliding with Trumpian reality. By spring, the Trump had vowed to sign trade pacts with 90 countries in 90 days. As we stand today, few deals have seen the light of the day. With India, negotiations stalled over familiar red lines: agricultural access, dairy imports, digital rules, and the protection of small manufacturers. Rude shock for India followed. In July, Washington imposed a 50% tariff on Indian goods, 25% reciprocal, and on top of that, another 25% was slapped on New Delhi for its purchase of oil and gas from Russia. For New Delhi, it was more than an economic hit. It was a signal that the age of comfortable trade dependence on the US was over. And so began a quiet policy shift. Behind closed doors, ministries mapped new markets. Trade officials fanned out across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Exporters were nudged towards diversification. Domestically, conversations shifted to boosting consumption and reducing tariff vulnerabilities. This is the unglamorous part of trade policy and the part that truly matters. Because free trade agreements aren't built in a day. Data shows the average deal takes 2.5 years to conclude. Some takes decades. Consider the India-UK Pact signed in July 2025. It comprised 15 rounds of talks, survived 4 prime ministers, and took 40 months to negotiate. Leaders like Modi and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer signed the final document, but the real architects were negotiators like Nidhi Mani Tripathi and Harjinder Kang, bureaucrats who labored over every tariff line and dispute settlement clause. Today, the spotlight is on Rajesh Agarwal, India's new chief negotiator in Washington. His brief is daunting: turning a politically charged trade war into a durable, mutually beneficial agreement. India has already signed 16 FTAs and is negotiating over 50 more. Proof that trade diversification is now a strategic imperative, not a diplomatic luxury. The moral of this story? Trade is not about theatrics, it's about endurance. It's about choosing patient negotiation over political noise, policy depth, over populist posturing. A trade pact should benefit India as much as the other trading partner. It is not about optics. And as the world fragments into competing trade blocs, India's challenge is clear: turn every tariff shock into an opportunity, every stalled negotiation into strategy. Because in the new era of geoeconomics, the winners won't be those who shout the loudest, but those who negotiate smartly. India is not stopping there. Negotiations with the EU, talks with 50 other countries are the pipeline. Each FTA is a piece in a much larger puzzle. India is learning to hedge against unilateral shocks, diversify its markets, and expand its influence in a multipolar economic order. It's no longer about the US or Europe. It's about Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and beyond. Because in this new era, foresight is power. India's long term trade doctrine is clear: diversify, secure, and shape global supply chains. From corridors to digital payment systems, every step is designed to reduce dependence on a single partner and to integrate India into multiple economic corridors existing the world over. India is no longer merely responding to shocks, it is shaping its economic destiny, turning diplomacy and policy into strategic leverage and positioning itself as a hub in the emerging multipolar world. So, while headlines focus on tariffs and temporary setbacks, the real story is not simple. It's about strategy and long term benefit. India is building resilience, crafting enduring trade partnerships based on the policy of strategic autonomy. Let us know your views in the comments below and subscribe to the Secretariat for more such insightful videos.